Well, first off, I'll start with Game 5 because I missed it. There's not a whole lot to say about it, except that without it, there wouldn't have been today's game. Sorry I missed it. I was really busy. I know it's strange to think I have a life outside of this because I'm making YouTube videos about the Penguins, so obviously I don't. But I do, but I don't. FYI, I play hockey. That's what I do when I'm not making videos about hockey, so it's right to presume that. At any rate, the reason we were here today was because Fleury played out of his mind in Game 5. And if you watch the final 10 minutes of it, you had to be thinking, oh boy, we're in trouble. At least we're still in this. I mean, we're giving ourselves a chance. But you started to see things swing the other way. The statistic came out today when I was watching the game because I didn't know the exact numbers. But teams have come back to tie series before, down 0-3. They've come back. They definitely come back to a Game 6. It's happened 17 times. But even with that statistic, 3 teams have made it to Game 7 and won. The hole was too big. It was too big. What's strange about today's game was that for the first time in the series, really, the team came out and was dumping the puck and hitting defensemen. You know, they started out playing the correct way, the way that, you know, they should have been playing the first 3 games. But if you remember after Game 3, I said even if they play the right way, they're just giving themselves a better chance. They're not necessarily going to win because they're playing the right way. So Giroux came in and just leveled Crosby, came across the ice, picked up a pass, and scored. Last time the Flyers scored first, which was last game, I was like, yes! Not this time. I mean, they were ready, and they were hungry. Then the Penguins got desperate. I mean, after one period, it was 2-0, and they started trying to force things. You know, I know this is going to get brought up. Everybody, it's only a couple hours after the game. People are throwing around things like, you know, trade Crosby. I swear to you, I saw that. Trade Crosby. If you're watching this video, I hope you're like, what? Because I'm like, what? But somebody said, trade Crosby, which... But they're also saying trade Stahl, trade Fleury, blah, 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 blah. Well, one thing I'm going to bring up is that if you go back to 2008, which is really the beginning of this team's actual kind of elite status, you remember in the Stanley Cup Finals against Detroit, people were wondering where Malkin went. Then when Malkin really took over the playoffs the next year and he won the Conn Smythe, nobody was asking that question. But you remember the guys who were getting the key goals. Jordan Stahl, Tyler Kennedy, Max Talbot. They were the guys scoring the goals. When the Penguins eliminated Ottawa the next year, Pascal Dupuis, Matt Cook, they were the guys getting the goals. You would have to be insane to suggest trading Crosby or Malkin. Completely crazy. Yeah, we need help on the D, and I'll get to that in a second. But you can't trade them. But you do wonder, in the biggest games, they aren't showing up. They aren't. Think back to as many playoff series as you can, the deciding games. They aren't the ones getting the job done. And this is a, you know, I can't say this is a huge game because I didn't think they were going to win. I thought they were going to lose 4-0. And close. But it's like teams are supposed to have problems when you have to cover Crosby's line, then cover Malkin's line, then cover Stahl's line. Well, yeah, because Jordan Stahl's scoring goals, but the other two aren't. I don't necessarily completely blame it on them, though, because the Flyers' defense, I mean, they had an idea and they stuck to it, and especially today. I I watched the game with my prototypical Pittsburgh fan parents, who are basically making fun of the Flyers, calling them goons. They don't get it. They're like, Brizgalov isn't that good. Well, I think the Flyers knew that. And they knew what they had to do was to keep the Penguins from shooting on Brizgalov. So they had over 35 blocked shots. That's incredible. And what that tells me about them is, the last 2 games they lost. They were like, what do we need to do to win? We gotta stop them from getting shots. And they did. Props to them. Props to the dedication to adjust in a series. Now the Penguins cut it to 3-1. And then Fleury knocked another puck in with his butt. Go back as far as you can and see how many times Fleury has knocked a puck in with his butt. He's young, so maybe he doesn't quite have it yet. I mean, he's been in the league since '03, so he's been in there, what, 8 years? But his puck awareness is his biggest problem, I think. He just needs to find the puck and know where it is. When it's behind him, okay, I understand you lost track of it, but you can't let this thing slip through you over and over and over. The cup-winning goal by Detroit, that was a glaring example of him losing track of the puck and knocking it into his own net. And the communication with the defense in him, he'll go behind the net and the defense won't know where the puck's going, and that's on the D too. I have no knocks against Fleury. He was pretty much asked in this game to shut out the Flyers. He didn't. People are going to go, trade Fleury. Absolutely not. You can't. You cannot do that. But what you can do is get a big physical defenseman to move people out from in front of the net. Because when Danny Briere and Scott Hartnell are allowed to roam free in and around your crease, they're as tall as I am. I'm standing talking to you while the camera is planted on a fridge that's 5 feet off the ground. You can probably barely see my face. They're about as tall as I am. They're very small guys. And Briere, the 4th goal, he wasn't in the crease, but I mean, you gotta move him. You can't let him get that shot off. That was like a harmless play. I've never watched a series where every single time a team came into the offensive zone, it was like an oncoming train and you couldn't stop it. Every time you felt like a puck was going to go in. And it's not on Fleury necessarily, because the defense, we went as deep as we could with our defense, short of bringing up Bortuzzo. My suggestion, I don't know what big defensemen are going to be available in the offseason, but look for one. I don't suggest trading any of your centers. I don't suggest trading your goaltender, because that doesn't make sense. But you got to find a way to bring in a big defenseman. If you have to move Kunitz, if you have to move Dupuis, if you have to move Tyler Kennedy, somebody, whatever you got to do, you need a big defenseman. Bilesma absolutely should not be fired. Malkin got a goal today, but he was still trying to make passes across the rink through a box that the Flyers, on their penalty kill, they shut everything off. There was no room in the middle. Dupuis rush with Crosby, a 2-on-1, that really defined the game for me. Dupuis came in, and that defenseman gave him room. And all Dupuis was thinking was pass. You're down 3-2 in a series, you're down 2-0, or at that point maybe 3-0 in a game. Shoot. Shoot! You know Brizgalov has problems. If it's a 2-on-1 and the defenseman's cutting off the pass, then shoot! Crosby will get the rebound. And if there's anybody I want getting a rebound in close, it's Crosby. Anyway, my final thoughts are this. I don't believe that the media's pressure on the Penguins had anything to do with them losing. I believe they looked at the team, saw Malkin, Crosby, Stahl, 2 other 20-goal scorers in Dupuis and Kunitz, saw Chris Letang, and saw one of only 3 Stanley Cup winning goaltenders in the playoffs in Marc-Andre Fleury, and thought, yeah, they should win the Cup. People are saying they were overrated. No! This wouldn't be disappointing if they were overrated. They underachieved. They very much, vastly underachieved. Now, their GM didn't help them any by giving them a vote of confidence and not picking up a big defenseman at the trade deadline. But looking back, I was happy when he didn't do that. There wasn't that much to pick up. But man, they needed one. They really needed one. And they're going to need one next year. You know, think back to all the teams the Penguins have had in the past 20 years. They have 3 Stanley Cups. They should have more. But every time that they don't win the Cup, save for the year they lost to Detroit, every time they don't have the Cup, there's glaring defensive holes. Not specifically any defense. Big bruising guys that get people out of the crease. I'm going to be back for the start of free agency, I think. If you'd like me to do just general stuff on the playoffs, maybe once a week or whatever, I can do that. My pick at the beginning of the year for the Stanley Cup, and I know Pens fans are going to hate this, but I picked the Rangers and I picked the Kings. The Kings are doing what I thought they would do. I thought Jonathan Quick would be, you know, one of the better goaltenders. Anze Kopitar is one of my favorite players in the league. They're doing a good job upsetting Vancouver, although a shell of themselves. So the Rangers are down to Ottawa, though, and that's concerning to me. But if you'd like me to, I'll do it. Just, you know, comment or post on the bottom down there. Post and tell me that you want me to do it. If you don't, then I'll see you in July. Talk about the free agency period. By then I'll have like an idea of what's available and talk to everybody later.
I cannot let go.